Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. If you're looking for a quick and easy little craft project or perhaps a mess making project, then this video is for you. Today we are using our larger size book pages or magazine pages or scrapbook paper, really whatever you have on hand, and we're making a page hugger, which can be a floating tuck spot or a bookmark. We can have top loading, bottom load, we can do so much fun stuff. So easy and fun. Let's get started. Okay, so obviously for this project you need some larger book page. I have some prepared here. This is quite large. Then I have Edith Holden kind of a size, and then I have something else like this. And just to compare, this is the kind of small novel size book page. So the larger your page, the larger the page hugger, right? And by the way, you don't have to use book pages. You can use old calendars, you can use scrapbook paper, any type of paper, music paper, any paper that you have. I'm just going to be using book pages. So it doesn't really matter what's on the book page, but preferably some type of an imagery is nice. Not necessary, like I said, because we are going to make all sorts of stuff to make it look pretty. But if you have something like this, then perfect. I've got two Edith Holden pages here with no imagery, so it's not a prerequisite. All right, I'm planning to make all sorts of fun stuff today. I'm going to stop shuffling this paper. Apologies. And I'm going to start with this largest sheet because, why not? I'm going to use the other sheets as well. So I'm starting off with this one, and first thing I'm going to do is rip the edges. This is just what I like to do, because I like that ripped edge look. But of course, you can leave your edges intact and nice and straight, because after all, by doing this, I'm actually shortening the page. So it really depends on how large your book pages are and how large you want your end piece to be. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do at this stage is ink the edges on both this side and this side. And again, this is totally up to you if you want to be doing this. All right, now that the edges are inked on both sides, the next thing I'm going to do is fold. This is where I look at what I want to be on the inside and what I want to be on the outside. So of course, I want these ducks to be on the outside. That's going to be visible on both sides of the page hugger. So I'm going to make my fold somewhere around here. Obviously, we can go all the way. We don't have to go. I don't usually go all the way because I like to have that space. When I'm sliding it onto a page, it's just easier if you have an opening like this. All right, now we're going to make a fold. This is so easy. You can like stop watching here because, this is all there is to it. But we're going to do so many fun things, so I hope you stay. But at this point, you're deciding, do I want a bottom loading kind of a thing or a top? So let's say this is a page in a journal. Do I want my page hugger to go on top of the page like this? Look how cool this looks. Or the bottom of a page like this. All right. So if I have an image, I have an image up here. If I fold this down, my ducks are going to be upside down and I'm hiding the image. So of course, for this example, I am going to fold over here. And it's going to be a bottom, I don't even know. I want to say bottom loading pocket, but that just means that it's a pocket that you put stuff in from the underneath. So it's not a bottom fitting hugger, this would be, I suppose. We're making things up as we go. A bottom fitting hugger, darling. We're making one. So this is how it's going to look. Well, that's not how it's going to look because we're going to make it look better. And now, we can like do whatever at this point, but the very first thing I like to do is glue everything down. So obviously we want to keep this open, but we're gluing the rest. So I know straight away this little square needs to be glued down. Apply the glue and glue it down. Okay, now that that's glued down, this needs to be glued up here. But of course, we don't want to be gluing this a little bit. It's when you're making your project, it will make perfect sense. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue just over here. Not even going all the way to the edge, but I am going all the way to this edge. And glue it down. All right, now that that's glued down, we can see that's a pocket and that's going to slide onto the page, and that's really all there is to it. But now we're going to start to decorate, and please let me know if you've done something like this before. Has this been done before? I mean, I've never done it before, and I don't know if it's like a thing that's been out there for a while or if I made it up. I doubt that I've made it up, because nothing is new under the sun, right? But anyway, I don't know how I haven't thought of it earlier, because I think it's such a great idea and so functional, because of course it can be a page hugger. You'll probably already know this because we probably went over it in the introduction, but you know, a page hugger, it can be a tuck spot on one side and another side. It's a floating tuck spot. It can go from page to page in your journal. You can have, like, you know, things that you need to get to, receipts you need to do, and it can be on that page. And then when you're moving to the next date, you move your thing. You know how this works. Or it can be a bookmark, of course. For bookmarks, I would definitely do it top loading for some reason, because I just think of bookmarks going from the top if I'm reading a book, but for my journal, I would like it from the bottom. Anyway, that's all just side little things. This is simply one of those things where a tutorial is most definitely not needed. You don't need to watch a tutorial to be able to make a thing. So hopefully this video is more than, I don't know, more than just that. Hopefully it inspires lots of things. As I said, we're decorating. So I started off with stenciling, as you've seen, and I have these round circular book page. I'm sticking with the book page theme. I feel like something circular here works. I have a few things on my desk because I was making these last night, and like I was playing around with something like this, like a little frame. I might do that in one of them today. I might do it on this one. Oh, that's actually looking quite nice. But what I wanted to say is that for some reason for this project, circular irregular shapes kind of look really cool. Oh, this looks good. Oh, well, how do I make up my mind now? Maybe I can do all of these. Oh, I do like. I love it when things come together for me. So what I was trying to say, maybe like, I don't know, circular stuff. Circular or irregular shapes rather than rectangular, and I'm just doing whatever over here. It doesn't go, but like it just seems like circular and irregular is better to hide this section here than rectangular and square. But you could do, I'm just adding things that don't go, but I'm just trying to prove a point. But you could do that kind of thing and then go in with something circular, and everything looks better. Something like this. Oh, that looks pretty cool. Flowers and all sorts of stuff. But I love, these are all cutouts from magazines and book pages, because you know me, I like to get creative with, you know, all sorts of materials. Okay, I think I have already made a decision on this, but I'm just going to decide how I'm going to go about it. First of all, I want to ink this. This is a tea-dyed doily, and I'm going to ink it a little bit just to make those edges stand out and pop. And of course, what I've realized while making some yesterday, I have realized that I like things sticking up or down. So if it's a top loading thing, I like the idea of this going onto the page like so. I actually should show you in the journal. All right, so this is my commonplace book, and I have all sorts of stuff in there, and I like the idea of the thing sticking up of course we have a tab too, but I just like that idea. And also for a journal, especially if I'm making a journal with all sorts of fluff all around, tabs and all that kind of stuff, I like it to stick down. I like it to like stick outside of the journal. See that? Which is of course why I'm contemplating adding another element to this before I start gluing stuff down, because who knows where I want to add this. So first I'm going to check the placement of everything, and I'm thinking I want to add this from the back like this. Perfect. So I can do that a little bit later. And now I'm just going to lay everything down. Ink those edges. Oh, what a surprise. Isn't this fun? Isn't this a fun project? Okay, this also came out of a magazine or a book, or who knows now. I think it was a magazine. Maybe we can have the lady kind of picking out from the frame, something like this. Overall, how's it looking? Not great. Oh no. So we just keep going when things are not looking great. We're just going to keep on going. So this is more of a craft with me video rather than a tutorial, isn't it? Okay, that's looking better. Now I want to add something else. See, here's the thing, right? You can see I'm kind of repeating the same thing I've done over here and over here as well. So I really like the idea of something else on top, but this was a choker necklace that I used and I don't have enough of it left. So I need to find something else. I can't keep repeating that formula. So I'll have to think of another formula, but check this out. I just went to pull some stuff out and I saw all this lovely goodness. Look at this, isn't that just gorgeous? Or this one, I can cut out a single section. Love that idea. What do we like better, a bit of color, or we're sticking with vintage? I think vintage might be the way to go. Oh my goodness, all this. Oh, all right, well, I'm keeping this out because for the next one, I'm going to do maybe something with that. We shall see. I'm really liking this pink, but I feel like if we're going to have the pink here, we have to tie it in with a little bit of pink somewhere else, do we not? Well, I suppose we don't, but it'll be nice. So maybe I can try and find some pink. Do I have more of that pink flower? It was just sticking out looking at me. It was a sign. Oh, there's another one. Do we have more? Do we have more? Oh, what's this? Nope. Come on, give me one more. Give me one more. Come on now. We can have one more. What's this? Will this go? How is this even looking? Maybe we can go on top of the photo frame. If only I could find one more. But I can't, so we'll have to improvise. Isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that look just so gorgeous? Okay, I'm going to just ink this up. We're going for the vintage. We have decided that, have we not? We're going for the vintage for this one anyway. I mean, I know not everybody loves vintage vibes. We can do whatever we want. I'm loving this. Okay, I'm going to put something there. Now, I just wanted to point out, see where your opening is over here? Don't have too many things sticking in there. Preferably, I really like to keep the opening nice and simple because it's easier to slide it onto the page than if you have things that are going to get caught, you know. All right, at this point, I would take a photo, but I can't because I'm filming with my phone. So I'll just have to memorize, but I would go layer by layer. So I'm going to take this off. All right, back to the nakedness. Oh, she's nude. We must hurry. A heart doily, lovely. It would have been nicer if I had a smaller one of these, but I mean, I do have dies. I do have circular dies now. I never used to, but now I do. So I can have plenty of circles, cuts, books, page circles, right? I think that's a great idea to have on hand for any project. And I could go and cut myself smaller circles, but I'm just not gonna right now, am I? So how did I have this laid? It was something like that, wasn't it? So I need to know the placement of that because I know that this flower goes into the corner of the frame. And now this is a little bit tricky because I want the lady under the frame down here, but over the frame up here. So how shall we do that? I'll hold her in place and I'm going to glue the torso down. My little lady. This is probably some historical person that I have nothing, like no knowledge about, and I'm calling her my little lady. If you know who this is, maybe it's just a random person. It's from a magazine. I probably should leave myself notes. Oh well. So that's a bit silly of me, isn't it? What a way to show your ignorance, right? Calling some very important historical figure my little lady. How am I gonna glue the frame down now? Is the real question. All right, I'm gonna lift it up and I'm improvising over here, you know? Oh my, oh my, oh my. That glue wasn't coming out and then I just squeezed it. Not very smart. It's probably karma for calling this person my little lady. Okay, that's gonna dry. It's gonna be fine. See, it's gonna dry. Oh, I can't remember the placement of any of these things. It's always a good idea to take a photo. And I always take a photo, but I'm filming with my phone, like I said, so this time I couldn't. Here we go. Beautiful. Isn't that just gorgeous? Okay, now this is gonna go on the back. And here we go. Oh, that's looking beautiful. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. Now we can, of course, go ahead and, you know, embellish the back or whatever. I'm not going to, for this one at least, I'm not going to embellish the back. I feel like I just want to add something here. And you can do a little stitch. Maybe I might do that. Okay, here's a little stitch. Brown would have been better than black. And I was thinking to myself, did that ruin it? The fact that it's black and straight, and probably could have done some more fun stuff with the stitching. But the beauty of this project is that you simply cannot ruin it. No matter what you do, you cannot ruin this project. In fact, there's very few little things in our niche, I suppose, of journal making and all that fun stuff. There's very few things that you can actually ruin. Everything can be fixed. One more thing I want to add to this. I was going to add a tab, but I'm going to do that on the next one that I'm making. They don't all have to have tabs, but I just love the tab idea, right? But the reason why I'm not going to add a tab here is because I find that I like incorporating the tab during the process of collaging. So you can see here how this tab is hidden underneath all of these pieces. Whereas this tab isn't hidden, it's sitting on top. I like it to be, because it was an afterthought. Oh, sorry, I'm dropping things. This tab was an afterthought, and it would have been better if I did the tab first and then a sticker. This is a sticker. So that's why I'm not going to add a tab here, but I want to keep crafting with you today. I know now you know how to make this. You knew within the first 10 seconds of the video how to make this. So I hope that we are going to keep hanging out together. And the next page I want to do is perhaps maybe I can do Edith Holden page. And I'm going to do a top loading. And you know what? With the whole Edith Holden, it's become somewhat of a craze. I feel like there's probably somebody out there in the world who isn't against using books in craft, because there's lots of people like that as well. But let's say somebody who's all into the whole junk journal thing and using books for crafts, who is at this very moment absolutely appalled that I'm ripping into an Edith Holden book, because for some reason it's become such a precious resource in the junk journaling world. At the very beginning of my journey, I found 2 of these books in an op shop, a thrift store, for $3. And now, you can't find them anymore. And when and if you do, they're like, I'm gonna Google it actually. Wow, I'm looking on eBay right now, and I can see a used Edith Holden book, $35, $50. Somebody's selling a used book for $50. Why is that? Why is that? I'll tell you why. But disclaimer, I could be wrong about this, but I think it's because we have made it a thing. We have made it something precious, because it definitely is precious. It's beautiful, a very good quality paper, beautiful handwriting, absolutely lovely images. But have you read the book? You know, if you have it in your stash and you've had it for 5 years and you can't bear to hack into it because it's such an amazing resource, have you even read it? I have not. I haven't read it, I'll have to say. I'll have to admit. I went to check when I bought the book, because usually I write myself when I actually purchased the book. And you can see here, April 2016. All right, for $3.25. That's Aussie dollars. In 2016, nearly 10 years ago. Now, you can't find, good luck finding it for that price now, first of all. Second of all, 10 years it's been sitting on my shelf, and I felt like it's such a precious resource. I must not. I've got 2 of them, so one is hacked into. But recently, I'm changing my mind, okay, about precious things, and you probably know this if you follow me, because I'm not going to take Edith Holden to my grave. What is it doing on my shelf? I'm either going to read it and then donate it, and then what's going to happen is someone's going to buy it, or or the op shop is going to sell it for $35 because someone wants to pay that money for an Edith Holden book, because we have made it into this amazing thing. Or really, there's 2 things. I can either use it, donate it, or read it. Okay. Why did I buy the Edith Holden book in 2016? Because I wanted to use it in my journals. That's why I bought the book. So now I'm using it in my journals, and I feel no guilt. In fact, I feel relief. So why did I go into that? I can't actually remember at this point, but I think it's because I feel like someone's out there going, no, Edith Holden, no. And I felt like I needed to explain myself for some reason. But also, maybe I could help you. Like, if you have precious things, what are you gonna do? You think you're gonna take it with you into the next world? It's gonna keep you company? Why are you saving all the pretty things? Well, I'm not saving pretty things anymore. I am done with that. Now it's time to use all the good things life has to offer. Okay, so obviously I'm making this into a top loading pocket. And now at this stage, of course, I'm gonna start kind of, doing the whole collage thing. Transparent stickers. This one isn't transparent, but when I plop it down, look how beautiful it is. Just looks gorgeous. So if you have pages, especially Edith Holden pages, which are beautiful, and the brown ink and this good quality paper, I feel like if you're using the pages that have no images, having these types of stickers on top, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Like, for example, I just went into my sticker book and opened to the first page, really. And I have some mushrooms over here. Let's see how that's gonna look. Okay, it's not too bad, but I'm not really feeling it. I'm liking the flowers better. Now, I did say I want to use a little tab. Lucky, I'm such an organized person. Oh, look at me. I have all my tabs in one place. Of course, I think this might be the last one of these. Someone has a punch, and someone has sent me this in Happy Mail. So I shall stop, keeping the precious things, and I'm gonna use them. I have been crafting for a very, very long time, as I'm sure you have too. But the junk journaling and the journal making and all of that, I can't remember exactly when I started, but I think it would have been around 2013, maybe 2014. I'm not entirely sure. And for some reason, it's taken a very long time to come to this point where I feel like I'm going to use all my good things and I'm not going to hoard anymore. And it doesn't apply to just crafting. It applies to house stuff as well, like the good plates and in general, letting go of things that I say paid money for and haven't used, and it's not really my thing, but I'm not letting go of it because I paid money. Plenty of stuff like that. Oh, no. So it most definitely has been a journey to get to this point, and it's been an all-round experience, so not just in crafting, like I said. And I'm slowly getting rid of things that I no longer use, you know, the whole thing, things you no longer use or find beautiful or useful. Yeah, it's all leaving. It's leaving. These stickers are the bomb. They're from Tapeology. I'll leave a link. I always have a link to Tapeology in my description box in case you want to, you know, but look how gorgeous that looks. At the start of the year, I did a video on how I think I called it how I decluttered 2024 things in 2024 or 20, yes, it was last year. I decluttered 2024 things in 2024 and I made a video about it. You might want to, oh, I like the sticker. You might want to, I don't know, maybe look at that video if you're in that stage in your life where you're like, I'm ready to let go. I think it's really inspiring to, this is what I'm going to do. I think it's really inspiring to have some sort of a plan, if that makes sense. So I started the year 2024 with this idea in my mind that I'm going to declutter 2024 things. And I did get kind of sick of it by the end of the year because I had to keep in mind all the things that I let go. But it was such a good exercise for training the decluttering muscle. Not just that, but letting go. Now, you might be wondering why I ink the inside when it's not visible, but oftentimes those white bits can be peeking through and I hate that. So I always ink, well, not always, but you know, that's why I ink the inside. So the thing is, if you're still watching this video, you are probably like like me, right? You are into this craft, number one, or art, or whatever you want to call it. You like making handmade books and junk journals and all of that. And with that, of course, comes this idea and notion that absolutely everything can be useful, which is true. Everything that comes into our life and that is already in our life can be useful. Not just the things that are already in our house, but all the junk that comes into. So we keep it and then we acquire more. And I've spoken about this so many times. I hope I'm not boring you to death. But we're then stuck in that stage for a few years of acquiring things. And then we want more and more and more. And then we go to op shops and thrift stores and we buy more stuff. And we look for stuff and we think we need to have the Edith Holden book because everyone has it, everyone's talking about it, you know, and so on. And fast forward 10 years later, 15 years later, 20, whatever, however long you've been doing this, or you might have just been started. Fast forward, and we are literally drowning in stuff. We are. We're looking for organizations, we're looking at how to store our stickers, how to store our scraps, like all these ridiculous things, which are not ridiculous at all because they are a lot of fun. But if we start to feel overwhelmed by all the stuff and all the ideas and all the things that we can do and all the things that we are keeping, then it becomes a problem because nobody needs to be overwhelmed. Oh my goodness, I think I wanted that underneath. Yeah, all right. I'm going to glue this down. Now, you have to make sure anything you're gluing on top, you don't want to glue this opening shut. So, see how that's overlapping the opening? I'm going to put my fingers there, and I know that I can't apply glue there. Now, back to the preaching. Oh, it's a preachy kind of day today. I think this is just something that you go through naturally. You get to the state of overwhelm, and you start losing maybe interest, you know, when you're looking for things constantly, when you want to do all the projects all at once and then you have all these unfinished projects and it just starts bringing you more stress than joy. That's when you know something's got to change. And of course I came into that stage many times and I got out of it, then I went into it and then finally I realized that the issue is, there's one of the issues, actually there's lots of issues, but one of the issues is hold on to, I'm not really, like I'm amassing stuff, I'm not using stuff. That's the problem. And so I trained myself to start using all the pretty things. I had a note on my desk. I've shown it to you guys before. If you watch me, you may have seen it in the past. I wrote myself a note saying use the pretty things, and hence the Edith Holden thing and this preaching session. So I'm wondering, what do you think? How do you feel about what I've just said? Are you in that stage? Let me know of your journey. This is a journey that you have to go on. It's not like a decision you can make out of nowhere and say, right, from now on, I'm going to use the pretty things. If that's not your issue, you might be one of those people who has no problem hacking into Edith Holden book the moment they buy it. But seriously, April 2016, that's nearly 10 years that book has been sitting on my shelf. And that is just absolutely bonkers, is it not? I'd love to talk about and read comments in the comment section. I would prefer if we didn't focus on like Edith Holden, because that's just an example of what I'm talking about. There's other things like the pretty stickers, like these large stickers. I have had them for a couple of years now, and I'm really making them only or using them only on special occasions. And this isn't a special occasion, and I decided I'm gonna use them in this project. There's always going to be more, and if there isn't more of the large stickers, there's going to be more of something else. And if you're like that in your crafting, where you like have that lack mentality, it usually is also in other parts of your life, like in your kitchen. You might finish a jar of jam, but you're gonna keep that jar because, well, you know, you can use the jar. You can, and you do probably, but how many jars realistically do you need to keep? I'm saying this because I keep all of them. Because I think, well, what if I need this shape of jar, and what if I need this size of jar, and I can always throw it out later, you know? All right, what are we thinking here? I'm not happy with how this is looking, so now I'm trying to find other things that are gonna look good. What else can we discuss? Oh, I'm on a roll. What else is like a common thing with all of us? Let me think. All right, we've discussed the accumulation phase, where you're just accumulating stuff before you're actually making stuff. And that doesn't include accumulating things only. It includes accumulating information and watching all the videos, and you're like trying to find systems of how you're going to save all of this information and how you're going to find it later and whatnot. But you still don't feel confident enough to embark on a journey. Why? It's silly, really. Sometimes I see comments like that. I have watched your videos and whatnot, but I still don't have the courage to start. Why? It's not like you're gonna go out into the world and take your clothes off, and you need courage to do that. That probably you need quite a bit of courage to do that, to walk around in the news. Yes, that takes courage. Public speaking in front of thousands of people, that takes courage. I could never do that. Definitely could never do that. Showing your vulnerable side takes courage. Crafting in your own room, behind closed doors, that does not take courage. That just takes nothing, literally just time, just a little bit of time. So I don't know why that's a thing. I don't quite understand it, because when I started crafting, when I started this particular journey with junk journals, I remembered now it was in 2010 when I started, so 15 years ago. I jumped straight into it, just making stuff. Actually, I'm lying. Sorry about that. I lied just then. First, okay, I went into the accumulation stage, and I was still making things on the side, but I spent more time browsing op shops and buying things. Okay, so yes, I did do that. I'm not gonna lie. And then I started making stuff, and I was still working at my other job and all of that. And at the end of 2018, the very end, December 2018, I uploaded my very first video to YouTube. All right, I'm setting the eyelet over here, and I'm using my other tool for eyelet business, the silent setter, because these eyelets are not from the Crocodile brand, and I find that these little eyelets get destroyed by that big chomper. So anyway, just in case if you're wondering about that. But at this point, I do have to admit that I have completely forgotten where I started going with this thought. I think it was I was trying to look for the things that we all struggle with, the same thing that we have an issue with. And I think I was going towards the organization or the space. Where are we going to keep all of our stuff? We buy all this stuff and we have stuff come into our lives, like cereal boxes and cereal bags and all of that. And then of course we can't throw anything out because everything can be used. And then we have to store it somewhere. And then we have issue with storage, and then we have issue with time because we're constantly like organizing ourselves and all of that. So we don't have time to make projects, and the cycle is just keeps on going. It's never ending until you decide to put a stop to it. So I stopped going to op shops regularly. I didn't stop going to op shops. That was also a lie, what I just said. I am a fibber today. Liar, liar, pants on fire. So I didn't stop going to op shops. I'm not gonna lie. I still go to op shops, which are thrift stores, by the way, in case you're wondering. I usually have people say, what are op shops? Well, that's what they are, thrift stores. I realized that I am spending more time acquiring than I am crafting. And also I realized that going to op shops and finding things became like an addiction. It's almost like I needed a hit. And I kept chasing the hit, like I needed something to give me that feeling. And what would happen is I would go to one op shop and I would browse and buy some things. But I didn't get the hit. I get the high from finding something amazing or something that like I haven't seen before or whatever it is. It could be anything really that gives me that feeling. And then if I don't get it at the second op shop, I don't really find anything that amazing, then I have to go to the third, and then I had to go to the fourth, and then I realized, oh, it's time to pick up the kids, and I don't have time to go to continue op shopping, and I feel unsatisfied. And then instead of bringing me joy, it started bringing me like bad feelings for some reason. And I started getting bored with everything that was in the op shops, and I already had everything. I had 2 Edith Holden books. So if I see a third one, I don't really get the same amount of excitement as I did the first time I saw it and bought it. And same with stickers, and same with charms and beads and absolutely everything, because I have everything now. 15 years is a very long time. And when this happened, I kind of told myself, okay, that's enough. And I stopped going to op shops. And now I go very rarely, and it brings me joy. It does. But only because it happens very rarely, like maybe once in 6 months, maybe. We're being crafty buddies today. This video is like the crafty buddy system, isn't it? Where it's a craft with me. What did we make so far? We talked a whole lot of random nonsense. We made some nice things, I suppose. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of how this looks chopped off down the bottom over here, but I was a little bit too busy talking then, you know. So this is looking really nice. I think I'm going to do one more. You're going to stick around for one more. I'm thinking of like maybe I can have this kind of a thing happening. Maybe when I'm ripping, I don't have to rip a straight edge. I can do something like this so that it looks more pointy. There's a thought. All right, so we did the bottom one. I mean the top loading one and the bottom loading one. We've done the tab. We've done the fun stuff over here. And we've done a whole bunch of talking. Well, I don't know why I'm saying we've. Well, if you've been listening, then you're an active participant in this little endeavor today. So especially if you're making this as we're chatting. We're chatting. We're crafty buddies, are we not? All right, break time. Okay, I came back from my break, and now we're going to do a slanted one. So as I was on my break having my coffee, I regretted the preachy business. I want to apologize now if I sounded preachy with all the things that I've said. And this is precisely why I don't do lives. I often have people tell me or ask me to do lives, and this is why I don't, because I often say stupid things and then I regret them later. And if I did a live, at least with editing, I can edit myself, okay? But if I'm doing a live, who knows what's going to come out of my mouth, right? I'll give you an example, okay? Just a little example. But first, I'm going to draw myself a line where I want to rip that page. All right, here's an example. Last week was my mom's birthday and I bought her flowers. And with flowers in hand, I went to a shoe shop because I wanted to buy a little gibbet for my daughter. Anyway, so I walk into the shoe shop, I walk up to the counter, and there's a guy behind the counter. And he's sitting there scrolling on his phone. He's a young dude, right? So he's scrolling on his phone. I walk up to the counter with the flowers in hand, and he looks at me, and I put the flowers on the counter and I say, "These are for you." Yeah. And straight away I'm thinking, what? Where did that come from? And he's looking at me blankly. You know that Gen Z or whatever it is, blank stare? Yeah, he's giving me that blank stare. And so what do? I start laughing like an idiot. Oh, yes. I'm laughing like an idiot at my own non-funny joke. And I say, "Ha ha 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 ha, I just made a little joke." Yeah. And he continues to stare at me blankly. So I felt like a total douchebag. And anyway, I come home and I'm thinking, why did you do that? Why would you say that? Like, I left the shop with the flower. I didn't give him the flowers, obviously. I wasn't planning to give him the flowers. They were for my mom. All right. So anyway, I come home and I tell my husband the story. I'm like, "You're not gonna believe what I did. I told this random dude that these flowers are for you, and then I laughed like an idiot." And my husband said, "Oh, don't worry, we need more of that in the world," he said, trying to make me feel better. So that's the example of just one little example of the idiotism that I am capable of, indeed. So when I was having my break just now, I was thinking maybe I could just edit the whole thing out and just get rid of it all. But I realized that I did a lot of talking while making, so I can't really get rid of the talking because, I don't know, I was making at the same time. Okay, here we go. A little slantage happening. What do we think? It'll be even better if I went into a corner. So since I don't think that I can edit all that talking out, I apologize if I sounded preachy. That was not my intention. And it all started with the Edith Holden and me thinking, oh, I'm going to get a comment and someone's going to say something about destroying a book. Oh, the dreaded comment, So I went into defense mode instantly. But hopefully no one is offended. And if I have offended thy, I do apologize. Okay, what do we want to do now? I feel like I should do something different to make this worthwhile. Maybe do a bit of stenciling. Just stenciling on the white bits. You have to let me know if you're a kindred spirit and you tend to say dumb things from time to time. If you can remember something extremely embarrassing or dumb that you've said, let me know in the comments so we can all have a little chuckle. I have said quite a few dumb things in my life, and oftentimes it's part of the anxiety that I'm feeling in the moment, and the more anxious I am, the more I talk, and the more I can't shut myself up, and then I just keep on digging a hole just keep on digging that hole, Now I'm gonna go back to this box of fun stuff, coffee dyed little things. Oh, that's not looking very good. What else do we have in this special box? Maybe we can do stuff like this. No? We're going for vintage, are we? That is not bad looking. Not great either, but we'll make it great. All right, go back to my little tabs envelope over here. And I believe I used up all of my gold tabs. So I do still have these black ones. So I want to see if I can somehow make it work. See, now that I've got this black thing over here, it's kind of overtaking the whole thing. I feel like I need something black somewhere else. How about a little black trim somewhere up here? And then, whew, pulling out my beautiful DIY brads. I have a tutorial on this. No silly business in that tutorial. All right, I'm gonna pick a brad. Pick a brad. Maybe we could do like a black. What's this? I have this one over here. I don't know. Let's see. How's this looking? Not bad. Oh, but I also have a this. It's actually a button. A butterfly button. No, I hear you. All right, we're gonna go with this. I can do a little oval thing or a little circle thing over here to break that blackness up. Something like this. I'm gonna add another little thing in the middle because it's a bit blank in there. So if you are a kindred spirit and you too have an issue with saying things that you later regret, let me know. If you also have problems with, like, when you're socializing, well, I'll tell you my thing. When I'm socializing, for example, the next day I have this big problem where I am in absolute agony because I am replaying every single conversation in my head, thinking of all the dumb things I said every single time. And I just keep going over and over and over of all the things that I have said, and worrying and regretting and all that not so fun stuff. All right, this is gonna work. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting things together. So let me know if you too experience this same thing. Like, is it a thing? Is that a thing, or is it just me? I think I found over the years of my wisdom, you know, over 40 years, 40 and a few, I'm not gonna say how many, on this earth, I have come to realize that all the experiences that we think it's just me, in most cases is not just me. Like, in most cases, a lot of people are going through the same thing. So a lot of people the next day are wondering, oh, and replaying conversations, sometimes even years later. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I think a lot of us from time to time, I had to change this one because this one's very fragile and broken. So I think a lot of us from time to time struggle with that thing where we think everyone else is normal and we're the only ones not normal. When in actual fact, no one is normal. Everyone's a bit cuckoo. That's what I think. Okay, I'm going to glue this baby down. Next, I'm going to glue this baby down. And this baby down. And now I'm going to go in with this. What else should we talk about? What do you think of the tariff situation in the US? I have a whole list of people on the waiting list for journals, and most of my customers are in the US. And now we have this whole tariff thing, and I still don't know how that works. And I think a lot of people don't know how that works. Australia's only just started sending parcels again to the US last week. So now that's extra $80 US, $80 to, what is it, $200, or depending on, I don't know how it works, to be honest with you. But what is up with that? Let's not get political, all right? I have to go to my local post office and I have to ask them to explain to me how to go about sending things to the US again. I have no idea. So now this one, I feel like it needs something sticking up. See how it looks kind of blunt up the top? That's why I've been adding like extra bits, but I only have this much left of this one. So maybe we can just do a little bit. I don't really like that. Oh, well, I do have something special. It's a little bit different to this one, but look. All right, that's looking good. I might have to glue it down like this. I do like that. Going in with the glue. Glue it down. You have to let me know what you think of this project. Here's what I think. This is supposed to go in a journal. And now I'm noticing when I'm doing this, how chunky this brad is. So not ideal, but we make chunky journals, do we not? So I suppose it doesn't matter. All right, and one last thing I want to add to this is a little charm. I'm loving this idea. Beautiful mass make project where you can make a whole heap and then just add them to your journals, use them in your books and so on. All right, time for a little charm. I kind of have to put it all the way to the edge rather than the middle because I don't have like really large jump rings. But I suppose we could put it down the bottom here and then have it hanging down like an earring. That might not be too bad, but I'm just going to stick with this, what I've done so far. And speaking of earrings, I dug into my box on my desk and I, of course, saw this black earring. Maybe I can attach that. That's actually looking quite nice, isn't it? I wouldn't mind a bit of gold or just at least something else. Oh, we can make it so fun. What is this? What is this? I have no idea what this is, but I'm gonna make it work. Oh, maybe we can get really fancy. Maybe we can do something like this. Should we do the black? I suppose there really is only one way to find out. So I'm gonna take this off and put the earring onto the jump ring. And then in front of it, I'm gonna add this bubba and then this bubba. Close, sesame. Oh, let's have a look. This is pretty fancy. I do like how it looks. Let's see how it looks in a journal, shall we? In comes the black and gold journal that still isn't finished. I've shown this journal that many times when I'm testing little things. Look at this gorgeous. Now I've shown this pocket before. All right, let's choose any page. Ugly white page. Pop our little thing. Oh, pretty, pretty, pretty. And now this, of course, as you already know, can be a tuck spot, in which case I would have perhaps a little paper clip holding it in place like this. And then when we turn the page, this journal isn't bound, so everything's moving around. Of course, tuck spot on the back as well. All right, that's the journal. And then of course we have little things speaking out. I have other stuff, and then I have this, and then over here I have tabs and all that kind of stuff. And then the charm picking out. And now let's say I finally decide to read Edith Holden book, and I'm up to page 106. I'm going to use this as my bookmark in my lovely book. Oh, look how pretty that looks. Isn't that just beautiful? And then, oh, look at that beautiful bookmark. Looks like I hacked into this book as well. Oh my goodness. Oh well. And then I have this fun business going on. I love it. Isn't it just gorgeous? Okay, let's see what we have. We have the top loading, and then we have the bottom loading. It doesn't even have to go into a journal. It can be its own little floating pocket, you know, where you put something in there, and then we can do so many things. And then we've got this one. So these were done in today's tutorial. And then I have done these last night. And look at this one. This is from a necklace. And a little clustery beauty up the top. This is the first one I've done. So not very fun, but you know, the idea grew from this simple thing to like more elaborate, which is usually what happens. Then I've got this one, top loading. Isn't that so cool? Hope you think so. And then we have this one, and I have this one. A bit of this and a bit of that. And if you notice, I kind of stuck with the thing that worked, which is the circular, lots of circular stuff. But I think the latest ones should be the stars of the show. Okay, that's it from me today. Please let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.